But this is a composition called Remembrance, which I wrote for the four masters. That's Master Kapal, Master Sawan Singh, and Master Sirio. I hope you enjoy it. Sawan, 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 Sawan.
So here we are again in Yorkshire.
Yes, wonderful. I'm glad to be here.
In Longley.
Yes.
Exactly, in Longley. And we are attending together a retreat with Master Sirio, an intense meditation retreat. And I am very lucky, I feel lucky to have this opportunity to have this conversation with you, because I was always very curious to hear the story of Tony Day, because we are spending these days together, and I really would like to know how did we get here, what was leading you here?
I guess, it's nothing special really, but I always, even at a young age, questioned organised religion. I just didn't get any satisfaction from it. I thought there must be more, and although I loved Jesus, I used to cry when I used to think of what mankind did to him, so I was attached there. And in fact, when I was a little boy, I had double pneumonia, and the doctor came at midnight and he said he's not going to last the night, And anyhow, during this time, I was delirious, and I visited the astral plane, and there was this gate, like a farm gate, very much like this, and Jesus was standing behind the gate. And I went up, so to go through the gate, and he said, no, this is not your time. So I came back, and I said to my mother, I feel hungry, this is the first time for youngs, And I had something to eat, I had a baked potato or something. And I survived, after that, which was wonderful. So, as I got older, I remember praying to God to show me the right way, just to show me the real path. I prayed for it, because nothing seemed to satisfy me. And although I got a lot of love from God through my music, I loved playing and I could feel the love there. I wanted more, and so it's a strange story, because my wife and 3 children, we decided to emigrate to California. And before we emigrated, I wish I could remember how I met this guy, but there was an American called Val Strecker, and he was a Satsang. And we just communicated about spiritual things, and he said, well, I'd like to introduce you to my, my master, my spiritual path, and it sounded interesting, so when we emigrated to California, and he greeted us there, he was an awfully lovely man, and he said, well, we have satsang at, I don't know if you've heard of this lady called Dona Kelley. She's a very high initiate, Baba Sawan Singh initiate.
Yes.
and she lived in a little village called Beaumont in California, and he said, would you like to come to our satsang? So I said, well, it sounds interesting, you know, I'll come along. So I went along, and I went, you know, for several Sundays, and gradually hearing about the masters, I eventually, Donna said, what do you think? I said, I'd like to be initiated. So in fact, Master Kerpel had stayed at Donna's house, so I saw the bed he slept and everything. And there was a great feeling of the master there, you know, it was an amazing vibration. And she was an amazing lady. She was an English lady that had, like me, emigrated abroad. She was a biochemist, and very high sort of satsangi. And we got on very well. And so I was initiated, you know, then, and quite an interesting experience. And so I put, before we were initiated, I sent a photograph of myself and my wife to Kerpal, and he took us both as initiates. But my wife said, I don't think I'm quite ready to live up to the path, Tony, and I don't want to take it on and then be dishonest and not, you know, not do. So I said, okay, well, you know, I took it, and but of course, once the master accepts you, she was initiated because he took her, you know, that was it. But anyhow, shortly afterwards, I think this was obviously a karmic thing. I caught Bell's palsy. I was quite ill, and all our money went on having treatment. So we went from there back to England. So I travelled 3,000 miles to be initiated, and then back to England again, which is quite amazing, isn't it? So so when I came back, there was I don't know if you heard, Sat Agniotri had a house in London, and so I used to travel to London, and
sorry, Tony, which year was that when you were initiated?
I was initiated in 1966, I think it was, or 67, yeah, I think so, yeah. And so we came back to nothing. We had absolutely nothing. 3 kids, my mother put us up, and suddenly the master kicked in because I had a royalty check from some songs I'd written for a few £100, so that helped us through, you know. I thought, this path's working, you know. Wonderful. So so I used to travel to London, and that's where I met Norman, because Sanchi was coming over to London, and so I met Norman, and we became great friends, and we had some nice experiences with Sanchi. I remember once we were coming back from, Sanchi had given a talk at one of the church halls, and he'd gone back to the flat, and we were coming back, going up the steps to the flat, and there's Sanchi at the window looking down at us, so we got a special darshan from him, you know, which was lovely. And I said, gosh, Norman, this is great, isn't it? So that was wonderful, and between that time of meeting Sanchi and coming back from America, I did go off the path. I'd gone into the sort of music business, the rock side of it, and it wasn't the best influence, you know. And but I was pulled back by Master Kerpel. You know, they say he's got a long rope, and he pulled me quite painfully back. I was in hospital after something happened, and I thought, what a fool I'd been. And anyhow, shortly after that, I had a sort of sign from Master. I started doing meditation again, and it was wonderful. He was sort of saying, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but it was necessary. You know, that was more or less the message I got. And so from there, I started going, you know, up to Satsang in London, and met Sant and a lot of lovely initiates there. And as I say, Sanchi came over, and that's where Norman and I met up, you know.
But was it right at the first time when Sanchi came to London?
Yes, that was the first time, yes. I went both times he came to London. And then, of course, I went, I think, either 2 or 3 times.
It was in 1980, am I right?
I'm terrible with dates.
Or
I think it was about 1980 that he came, wasn't it? Because he was discovered at 76, wasn't it? 77 when Russell went.
Yes.
So probably that was his first year. But of course I did go to Rajasthan, you know, a couple of times to the ashram. But Master Sanji knew how painful it was when I came back, because as I say, I was in hospital. And he said, "You won't leave the path again, will you, Tony?" I said, "No, Master, it was too painful, you know." So that was lovely, you know, meeting him, and that was really it, you know. I stayed on the path and worked quite hard. It was difficult for me because there were no Satsangis in my area, in the Portsmouth area.
Mm-hmm.
I had to travel to London, which could be costly at times. But Master made me meditate every day. You know, whatever happened, he made me meditate. I could feel him making me meditate. So I kept that, you know, kept on the path there, and that was about it. I'm trying to think of the dates, so it's very difficult. What happened after that? Well, yes, I had, you know, some wonderful times in Rajasthan. I think I must have seen Master Sirio there. I'm sure I did, you know.
Yes, he went there several times.
Yes, I used to see. He was always singing with the singing the bhajans, and he was a very high soul then. It was amazing, because the thing is that we shared Sanji with really hundreds or thousands of other satsangis, whereas the beauty with Master Sirio, as I said to Norman, is that we're just a handful in this intimate setting with a perfect master. We're at the feet of a perfect master, and look at the attention we're getting, you know, rather than the big crowd, you know. And I mean, it's such a blessing, such a blessing. So, but it was Teresa that introduced me to Sirio. She rang and she said, "Tony, do you remember Sirio Karapa?" And I said, "Yes, I think I do." She said, "Well, he's taking, you know, he's giving an initiation, and he's got an ashram in Rabola, and we've been over, and it's wonderful, you know, it really is good. I believe he's the next living master. He's a Gurumukh, son of Kirpal and Sanji." And I said, "Well, that's very interesting." She said, "Look, he's come into Yorkshire, I think this is in 2015. Yeah, that would be 2015, 2016. No, 2016, yeah. So I hummed and hawed, and so it's a long way and all that, you know. And my wife said, "You must go, Tony, you must go. You must go up there." So I said, "Well, okay." So I came to the retreat, you know, and of course I loved it. I mean, that was it. I just knew Master Sirio was the next living master. I just knew it. And I had such a wonderful experience with him, you know. I mean, it was just bliss at the end of the retreat. I hadn't felt like this in years, and I was, you know, just truly feeling so blissful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually wrote to Master and told him, you know, how wonderful it was for me after all these years, you know, to feel this wonderful feeling that, you know, the Master is here, you know, and I was so grateful to it, very grateful. And that's it really. I came, you know, in 2017, now this year. So, and of course I went to Rabola, to Master's ashram, which was just wonderful, just beautiful. So I'm very fortunate. I've been saved, really. You know, they've looked out at me and thought, well, we better do something about this guy. So we pulled him back on the path, you know. And but the amazing thing is, my wife, I was always worried because I never thought she was initiated, you see. And the second time that Sanji came to London, he travelled from South America and he was very tired. I mean, it's a long trip. And Sat Agnatu, we were all in his house, he said, "Master won't be having any interviews today because he's tired, you know." So we said, "We just go into meditation." So this is the first time my wife would ask, she said, "May I come to London with you and meet Sanji?" I couldn't believe, you want to come and meet Sanji? Well, you've never... She said, "I just feel I want to this time, you know." And so we're sitting there sort of meditating, and Sat comes down. He said, "Master wants to see you both." So we said, "Really?" We thought no. He said he wants to see you now. So we went upstairs to Master's room, and there's Sanchi with Papu, you know, and he said, to Marty, sit in front, you know. I sat by the side. And it was just amazing. I mean, he just showered so much grace on her. I think it was probably an initiation, really, you know. And it was amazing because he put his hand on her head, and then, you know, he was talking to her and still had his hand on her head, and then he got her elbow, and then he stood up with her like this, you know. And then he got hold of my shoulder and held my shoulder. And I thought, what's going on? This is incredible. And it was quite overpowering. But it was just the grace of the Master. I mean, the love that he showed was just amazing. And my wife she didn't know where she was. She just said, "Tony, this is just incredible." I said, "No." And then we went back downstairs, and that was it, you know. But,
amazing.
yeah. I suppose he felt that because she hadn't been properly initiated, I thought she hadn't been initiated, that he did that, you know, he did that to show me that she was. But of course, as soon as Master Krupa had accepted us, we were initiated, really, as you know. And so there we are. That's more or less my history. I still kept up with my music, but I went into a nicer side, you know, the show sort of side of it. Just playing piano for people when they're dining and that, and had quite a nice living doing that, you know. I loved it. Sanchi knew that I was concerned with music, because he was Sanchi was such a brilliant musician, wasn't he? Look at the bhajans he's composed.
Yes,
I could never realise there were so many until Master Sirio sang them, you know, and I realised how many there were. And so he would look on me as a musician as such, you know, and he'd say, you know, you fill your music up with love of Lord, and I said, yes, I do feel when I sit down that God is there, you know, which is wonderful. I mean, what a gift to be able to express myself through music and writing my love, you know. It's wonderful.
And did Sanji ever hear you playing the piano?
No, he never did. But maybe, you know, probably he did, yeah. He was an amazing man. He was a wonderful, wonderful master, really. Unfortunately, unlike Norman, who met Gopal twice, I never met Gopal. You see, I was initiated in California, and then that was it. I never met Gopal. I wish I had, you know. But since then, I've had instances where I know he's looking after me, you know. He's looking after me, and that's wonderful. And I know that he is my master, and he's guided everything. He's just, you know, guided me along the path. It's been quite amazing.
Well, it seems you were never left alone.
No.
That you had to go through your experiences, which you were meant to experience, but Master never let you.
No, he never left me, no.
And then you see he came in his new form, that you could meet Sanjios, and now you can meet Master Sirio.
Yes.
It's a very great blessing.
Great blessing, I mean, I just say how grateful I am. I am so grateful, really. And of course, there's something very special about this. I feel with this Yogsa Sangha, there's something very special that, you know, Master Sirio should come over and give us that saying. I mean, what a blessing that is. In this intimate setting, you know, just a handful of us, isn't it? Sometimes. But I think that's pretty well about it. I mean, that's my life in a nutshell as such. If there's anything else you'd like me to ask?
Well, there are some small things which I'm curious of, like how was this period for you, that you said that for a short period you were distant with the path, and did you think of the path, or how was it for you, like did you feel sorry for it, or you just try to put it aside, or,
yeah,
or did
I think
you feel
I put
a
it
continuous pull, or how was it?
Yeah, I put it at the back of my mind, you know. He used to come forward and say, "You're still on the path, you know. Master's not forgot you. He doesn't leave you." And but negative power just had that little chink and he got in, you know. That's it. You've got to leave it open. But once again, you know, I really do, and I think through Sawan, it was a karmic thing that I had to go through. If I didn't go through it in this life, then I'd have to come back and go through it again. So I'm glad I went through it, you know, and the Masters got me through it in this life. They wanted to get this over with, I'm sure.
Yes, this also seems like a blessing.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like this in life, that some things happen in our life which seem like unlucky or unfavorable or problematic, but after all we say that this also was part of the show, and
absolutely,
it is just perfect.
Absolutely, you know, it's amazing, and you know that they're, you know, your life is in their hands. The karma, everything is all worked out by them, you know, and it's a wonderful feeling when you think of it. I think I used to pray for that I could be able to surrender everything to Master, which I think is good, you know, if you can do that. It's not easy, is it? And receptivity as well. That's helped me a lot, because I've had instances where, I mean, I know this sounds trivial, but I'll say to Master, "Where did I put my glasses, Master?" And he'll tell me where. I mean, I use Master like that as a friend, you know, I talk to him. One night, coming back from London, I'd been recording in the studios, and I got a cab from the station, and I paid the cab driver, and I went indoors, and so I'm sort of taking things. I thought, "Oh, my wallet, where's my wallet? Oh my gosh!" And it reminded me of Sant Mat on the airplane where he lost Master Kirpal's pen, you know, and he panicked, and he said, "Where is it, Master?" You know, and Master showed him. So I thought, well, Master, where's my wallet? You know, and I've always said, "Go out the front door in the middle of the road where the taxi stopped," you know. And I went out there under the lamp, and that's my wallet.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So I could imagine to say, "There we are, you see." So yeah, it's just, we are just amazing. We are so fortunate. I mean, we just don't know how fortunate we are, you know. I mean, Kirpal used to say, "If you knew how much we loved you, you'd dance in the streets," you know, and that's true. So I guess that's about it.
And how was it for you? Like, to me, from your story, it feels like you found the path twice somehow, because as you said that you had to take this very long trip to California to be initiated.
Yeah.
Then somehow destiny took you back to England, because that's where your destiny was.
Well, yes, because
and then again.
I know shortly after, once again, karma. Shortly after I was initiated, I got Bell's palsy, you know, my whole face dropped like that, you know. And the kids they used to think I was a monster or something, you know. And the doc said, "We spent a lot of money on electrical treatment, all this thing." He said, "I think, Tony, if you went back home, it would gradually..." Because I think what happened at that time in '66, there was the riots. We had the Chicago riots, and it came down very close to California in the Watts area. And when I took my eldest son to school, they said, "Take him back home." There were policemen with guns, you know, and take him back home. We've got Molotov cocktails being thrown at the schools and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And I thought, "Oh my God, what have I brought my family to?" Because England was not like this at all then, you know. It was
Yes.
And I thought, "What have I done? What have I done?" You know. And overnight, you know, my face dropped. So I don't know whether that caused it, but as I say, it was karma, and I was meant to go back to England.
Well, I mean, it's easy to say now after so many years and from outside, but it seems like if you stay in the United States, if you stay in California, you maybe you have a totally different life. You go in a totally different direction, and you see, you got the initiation, and Master said, "Okay, now I bless you in a special way."
Yeah, yes, I'm sure of it, absolutely. I mean, I was meant to come back, and although it was tough when we got back, but as I say, Master, once again, he came through with his cheque from royalties, and that helped me, and then I gradually got work, and that was it, you know, and as you know, with three kids, young kids, it's very, very hard. But I had a great partner. I mean, my wife was just so amazing. I mean, she was we worked together, you know, very well indeed. But yes, and now I'm doing this other adventure. I'm coming up to Yorkshire, you see. And I wrote to Master Sirio and I said, I don't know, Master, I've been on my own since my wife died for 6 years, and I just love these people up here. They're just like a family. And what do you think I should do? And he said, go, you know, go. This is what I would do, Tony, I'd go, so I'm going. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. You know, next year when you come over, I'll be able to tell you, hopefully, what has transpired, and it'll be wonderful, yeah. It'll be really well. I'm really looking forward to it.
I believe.
Yeah.
And how was it for you? It's just my curiosity that you said you were interested always in spirituality, like praying to God to show you the real path.
Yes.
And you were initiated by Master Kirpal.
Yes.
You were accepted by him. And then after that, how was it finding the path again with Sanji? That was it different or
Well, let me think. So I went off the path, didn't I? And I came back when I'd read that Russell had met Sanchi, and that this was the new master, you know. And
you mean in the Somebody magazine?
yes, Somebody magazine, yes. And I looked at, and I thought, well, this is like Kirpal come back, you know. And once again, you know, it's all organised by the powers that be. I had to meet him. I had to just meet Sanchi. Once I met him, of course, you know, I accepted him as the master. So it was once again we were, I think Master Sirio, we remember this, we were just a handful of us really, when Sanchi first came to London, in this tiny flat, and we were sitting there with him, and it was just amazing. I've been very lucky like that, you know, really, very lucky. But yes, I accepted him straight away, and when Sanchi left the body, I did go to London because Sant and Roxy said, we've got a new master. Forget it, was it Ramji or the
yes,
yeah.
Sadhu Ramji.
I never got anything from him. I thought he was a very holy man, but I never got anything from him. So I went back home a little disappointed. And then Teresa phoned, and she told me about Sirio, you see. And I thought, wow, this sounds interesting, you know. And come up to Yorkshire, and I thought, I don't know whether I should, you know. Anyhow, you know, it was decided I was going to come to Yorkshire. And that really is it. That's the third chapter of my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, so you have an amazing life. You have the company of 3 living masters.
Yes. I don't know why. But yes, yeah. It's just wonderful, really. And of course I'm looking forward to living up here because I love these people. They're just beautiful. And so, you know, we're hoping that we'll be able to have satsang every week then. I'll have, you know, my bungalow, I'll have satsang there. And so it'll be good, you know.
Yes.
I'm sure Master Sirio will be interested to see how I'm doing, because, you know, he said definitely got to go. And when the Master says go, you go, then that's it. You know, he knows.
And I have one more question about your music, because we could hear you sometimes play the piano, and now you played this piece which you said you gave the title Remembrance.
Yes.
So please say something about it. It's so beautiful.
Well, it's just the remembrance of the 4 masters, you know, really, Sawan, who Dona Kelley was an initiate of Sawan, so I was connected there, you know. At Cabaret, Aijib, and then Sirio, you know. And I mean, how do these compositions and melody, they all come from the divine. It's just that we're used as a channel, aren't we, really? You know, they just use us as a channel. And I suppose they thought, well, it's time he wrote something. So yeah, this came through, and I was very pleased with it. And Master Sirio graciously allowed me to play it on his piano at Rebut, which was very kind, you know. And he was quite insistent that I play it, so that was very nice. So that's it, really. Yeah.
Well, it's very nice. You have a talent through which you can express your devotion.
Yes.
Put into music.
Yes.
Which maybe we can talk about spirituality, but these are words and many things, emotions, feelings, impressions, which we describe by words.
Yes.
It's difficult to grasp because words also limit.
Your expression.
Or like put into brackets the things, make it more concrete, more hard. But listening to your music, it's really such a wonderful feelings woke up in my heart just to listen to it. It's really so touching. Like I feel like I could just keep listening to it.
I just say, and I don't say this with false humility, but it's not me. I mean, what you hear is touching you as the master power. You know, that's really what it is, God. You know, and. When I hear lovely music, I just think how beautiful the Creator is that He create. I think of Him creating all this, you know, just using human beings as the channel. But it's His creation, you know. Fantastic, wonderful.
And, I know I said that I have more questions, but two more questions came into my mind.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? What was the peak up to now on the path for you?
I think the peak was the interview with Southsea with my wife, where he, you know, that stays in my mind. I see every moment of it. That was the Masters showing such love and grace, you know, really. That was the peak of it, yeah, definitely. But I mean, I've just been fortunate to be able to have these masters to go through each one, sort of thing, you know, to be connected to each one. It's just amazing. I know it's all one. They're all one as such, but this is. I mean, at this time in my life, to have Master Sirio is just amazing, you know. I mean, I would hate it if when Southsea passed, that was it, you know, and I didn't know, I was in quite a state that I didn't really know what until Teresa rang, and then something just clicked when she said, because we've been friends for a long time, you know, Teresa, she was there with Sanji in London, and with Norman, of course, you know. So there was that connection then with Yorkshire, you see, then. You know.
Yes.
I didn't ever think I would be up here, but that's what drew me. They drew me to the path. To Sirio, and I'm so pleased, very, very pleased. So there we are, Dory.
And my last question,
thank you. Good.
Probably last.
Yeah.
If you could put together in a few sentences, what is your message? What would you tell to the people about the path, about the masters? Why is it important to treat the path? Or what is the message of Tony Day to the people?
Well, I don't know.
What is the juice of it?
I don't know if this is going to be very immortal, but the point is about this path, it's that it's so practical, it works. If you do what the masters tell you to do, if you meditate, go on retreat, it works. Because what it does, it changes you. It changes you, it transforms you. From the person you were to the masters transform you into beings of light, you know, fit enough to go back to your source, to God. And this path, for those that are very practical, this path is practical. I mean, it works, provided you do what the masters tell you to do. I think that's one of the most important things, really. As Master Sirio says, you mustn't analyse it with your mind. This path is meant to be expressed spiritually, so you feel it, you know, and you don't analyse it. There are a lot of satsangis who have sat down and said, well, the Master said this and the Master said that, and this didn't work. You don't do that. You don't do that. That's fatal to do that, because that could take you off the path once you do that. You're going into the realms of the mind then, but the truth is, you know, it does work, and it's a purely spiritual path, and it's one that God laid down when He created. You know, this is the original path of the saints. And boy, you know, we're so lucky to be on it, really. It's a great blessing. And I don't know whether we've earned that from previous incarnations, probably so, but nevertheless, it's a great honour, great blessing for us. So that's just my point of view.
Thank you, Tony. Very, very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dari.
Give your time to us. And
Not at all. Thank you, Dari and Tamar.
Thank you.